Welcome to today's explainer. Look, let's just be real with each other for a second. The idea of constantly grinding for money, it sounds absolutely exhausting, right? We are constantly bombarded with this message that you've got to work yourself to the bone to ever achieve true financial freedom. But as the sources we're diving into today reveal, there's a completely different and, honestly, wonderfully lazy way to hit that elusive millionaire status.
Want to be a millionaire? If we took a quick poll right now, literally every single hand would shoot up. The desire is definitely there. We all want that financial security, the freedom, maybe that sweet beach house. But the motivation to wake up to a blaring 4 a.m. alarm for some brutal daily hustle? Yeah, that motivation is definitely not there for most of us. And honestly, you really shouldn't have to force it.
So let's contrast the two vibes here. First, you've got the grind. You know the drill. Those extreme hustle culture myths. The whole Sigma male routine where you're supposedly taking freezing ice baths at 4 a.m., meditating for 2 hours, and launching a startup before the sun is even up. Sounds punishing. But then we have the lazy way. We're talking sleeping in, enjoying your morning, and simply letting an automated financial plan do its thing. What's absolutely wild about the data we're unpacking today is that true, massive wealth creation can literally be a zero-effort, automated process. Forget the ice baths, you just need a system.
Which brings us to the absolute core of our laziness problem. Meet the SIP. This is pretty much the ultimate financial hack for the strategically lazy, and it's built entirely around a set-it-and-forget-it philosophy. If you've ever felt totally overwhelmed by the mere thought of investing, this is exactly the concept you need to know.
So what is an SIP? It stands for Systematic Investment Plan. Fancy name, but it simply means committing a fixed amount of money, let's say $500, into an investment fund every single month completely on autopilot. Now, what's really fascinating here is what this replaces. Most folks kind of assume investing means timing the market, trying to magically guess when stocks are going to go up or down. Our sources basically call that gambling, just in nicer suits. An SIP completely strips away that stressful guesswork.
I absolutely love how the source material frames this next bit. Think of an SIP exactly like a subscription service, but for your future self. It's just like your monthly Netflix or Spotify bill. You set up the payment details once, and then you literally never think about it again. But here's the massive game changer. Instead of sitting on the couch binging a whole season of Stranger Things, you're effortlessly piling up wealth. The money leaves your checking account, goes straight to work, and your net worth gets strangely larger while you just go about your life, or, as the text jokingly points out, while you go back to arguing with strangers on the internet.
Now, when a lot of folks think about investing, their minds instantly jump to market crashes. And let's be real. The stock market is moodier than a teenager having an existential crisis. One day it's soaring, everyone's popping champagne, and the next day it's taking a nosedive and the news anchors are losing their minds. That daily drama is exactly what terrifies regular people out of investing altogether. But an SIP actually protects you from all that volatility. In fact, it kind of uses that moodiness to your advantage.
And that brings us to the magic mechanic making this whole thing tick, dollar cost averaging. Because you're putting in that fixed amount every month, sticking with that $500, the math literally does the heavy lifting for you. When the market is booming and prices are sky high, your $500 naturally buys fewer units. But when the market throws a tantrum and prices crash, suddenly that exact same $500 buys a whole lot more units. You don't have to obsessively check the news or make split-second decisions. Your automated system naturally optimizes your buying, pulling your average cost way down over time. If that sounds a little too Wall Street, let's look at a brilliant, super relatable analogy from the text. The toilet paper analogy. Think about your last grocery run. You probably grabbed the massive, family-sized pack of toilet paper because buying in bulk on sale is way cheaper per roll. With an SIP, when the market takes a dip, you are essentially buying that bulk discount without ever having to manually check price tags or clip a single coupon. You're just automatically grabbing the sale.
So here's the million-dollar question. If the math is really this easy and automated, why isn't everyone rolling in cash? Well, it turns out the biggest enemy of wealth isn't actually a lack of money. It's human emotion. Our own brains are pretty much the primary barrier to getting rich. We get super greedy when prices are flying high, and then we get terrified and sell everything in a panic when prices drop. We just lack discipline.
But here is the beauty of it. Automation completely short-circuits all those bad habits. First off, an SIP enforces discipline without you even trying. You literally don't need willpower if the system is running in the background without you. Second, it secures your money before you even have a chance to blow it on impulse buys, like, midnight DoorDash orders. And third, it totally eliminates the stress of checking the financial news. If you see the market drop 10%, you don't panic. You just think, hey, my automated system is scoring a sweet discount this month.
And what happens when you let that automated discipline run for years? You unlock the absolute beast that is compound interest. As Albert Einstein allegedly said, and whether he actually said it or not, the point totally stands, compounding is the eighth wonder of the world. The source material breaks it down perfectly. Compounding is when your invested interest starts earning interest of its own, and then those earnings have little interest babies of their own. It creates this wild exponential snowball effect that's honestly kind of hard for our human brains to wrap around until we actually look at the math. So let's do exactly that. Let's look at the math. We're going to set up a baseline scenario to show you how this plays out in the real world. Let's assume you follow this lazy protocol. You invest a fixed $500 a month into a fund. We'll assume an average annual return of 12%, which our sources point out is a solid historical benchmark for a lot of diversified equity funds. So what does this actually look like over the long haul?
Okay, this is where the explainer gets incredibly exciting, so stay with me. After 10 years of your lazy SIP, you've invested 60 grand of your own out-of-pocket money, but your total wealth? Over $116,000. You could buy a very, very nice car with that. Now fast forward to 20 years. You've put in $120,000, but thanks to that compounding snowball, your wealth has exploded to almost $500,000. You're officially a half millionaire. And then we hit the 30-year mark. Over 3 decades, you've only actually contributed $180,000 of your own cash, but your potential wealth is sitting at $1.76 million. Welcome to the Millionaires Club.
This right here brilliantly illustrates the ultimate magic trick of the SIP. $1.58 million. I really want you to let that specific number just sink in for a second. Where exactly did that come from? Think about it. If you end up with $1.76 million, but you only contributed 180 grand, that means $1.58 million was generated entirely by the math, not by your hard labor, not by your 4 a.m. ice baths. That is just pure, unadulterated, compounded growth.
To really drive this whole lazy narrative home, just look at the contrast. On one side, you have the money you actually worked for, sweat for, and earned at your day job over 30 years. That's the $180,000. On the flip side, that's the money made while you were literally doing nothing. The text actually jokes that this is the money generated while you were sitting around watching cat videos on the internet. $1.58 million generated simply because your money was working overtime so you didn't have to.
Now that you're seeing the immense power of this automated system, you're probably wondering, okay, how do I make sure I execute this perfectly? Thankfully, the source material provides some genuinely fantastic, empowering advice to put all of this into practice. Let's walk through a few lazy millionaire pro tips real quick so you can get your system running flawlessly. First up, start yesterday. Seriously, the longer you wait, the harder the math has to work to catch up. Waiting just 5 years to start your SIP can literally cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in compounding growth down the line. Second tip, increase the lazy. Whenever you get a raise at work, just bump your contribution up by like 10%. You honestly won't even notice the difference in your paycheck right now, but your future self will absolutely thank you. And finally, don't touch the thermostat. The only way this strategy actually fails is if you get scared and manually turn off the automation when the market dips. Just remember the analogy. Red numbers in the market are just blue light specials. They're just a massive discount on your future wealth. To wrap all of this up, the bottom line from our sources is incredibly empowering. You do not need to be a financial genius to become rich. You don't need insider knowledge, you don't need some fancy Wall Street background, and you certainly do not need a punishing hustle culture routine. You just need to be consistently average for a very long time. Set up your automated systematic investment plan, close your banking app, and honestly, go take a nap. Just let the automation do the heavy lifting for you. Because if you can embrace the lazy way, commit to the automated math, and just tune out the daily noise of the market, the only real stressful decision your future self is going to have to make is this. What color is the upholstery on your yacht going to be? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this completely changes how you view wealth creation. Get those automated systems set up, and I will see you next time.